hurt my feelings
Yep.
was the first interview she did after Motorsport came out. I remember, like, when I first came in the game, if a female of that stature had done a feature with me on it, I would only be, singing their praises and saying thank you. The first interview she did after Motorsport came out, it just really hurt me because she looked so aggravated and angry, and the only thing she kept saying was, "Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that verse. I didn't hear that verse. She changed her verse." Like, I was like, "What?" I remember when I first did a song with Trina for the first time. That's why to this day I love Trina, because she is the first female rapper I think that acknowledged me behind the scenes and said, I want you to be on my album. Till this day, you've never heard me speak ill of Trina just because of that.
Yeah,
that's very important. And so her most recent interview, Cardi, that's when I just came back on Instagram and I saw it and I felt good. I finally felt like she said something genuinely nice, about me. But with Motorsport, I kind of felt ambushed. I felt like Quavo at that time was like, Quavo is my baby. I love Quavo. And at the time I went on Twitter and I explained how Motorsport came about. And, people were saying that I was lying. So I texted Quavo and I said, hey, just, could you back me up on this? Because, I don't want people to think I'm lying. What do I have to lie about? And he didn't back me up. And, he texted me. He was like, I would go on Twitter and back you up if you were my girl. LOL. And that hurt because he's somebody, like, I love him, There are certain rappers, who I call my baby. Quavo, Uzi is my baby. Sway Lee's my baby. And so Quavo told me, I'm not gonna go on Twitter and address that shit, man. Like, if I do an interview, then I'll address it. And I was like, yikes, because it hurt my feelings to know that people would watch me be slaughtered and not one person will step in to say the truth. They will run with that lie because it's, can I have some water, please? They'll allow people to run with the lie because it's entertaining to make Nicki seem like a bad guy. And it's sad. Quavo texted me. I still have the text in my phone. First of all, Quavo came to my studio and played Motorsport. He was the only person on Motorsport. I said, oh, that's a hit. That's out of here. I want to get on that one. He wanted me to get on a record call for keeps. She for keeps. I said, no, please, 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 let's do Motorsport. He came back after and said, all the guys going to be on Motorsport. I was like, okay, yeah, I figured that. I knew that much because I knew they were working on their group album. And he texted me and he said, is it okay to put CardiB on it? And I still have the text in my phone where I said, yeah, let's do it. And that's the only story I told. I said exactly how it came about. And when it was time to clear the air about that, no one did that. Everybody, all of them allowed me to look like I lied. And, even with the scheduling conflict, she's using my hairdresser now. So even he can attest to the fact, Tokyo, he knows that there really was a scheduling conflict and it was because of him. He's the one that couldn't show up. And I texted him, I said, that if I don't show up the day she's shooting, they're going to act like it's because I'm doing it to be mean, with the current Nicki hate train. And he wasn't able to come, he had something to do, and that's fine. So I had to shoot on another day. They all knew that, especially if you're using my hairdresser now. He can attest to that. And you still did interviews, and y'all all still jumped around that, and just to paint Nicki as the bad person so that you could play the victim. And that really, really hurt me.
And that,
because I really fully supported her. And up until this recent interview that she did, I had never seen her show me genuine love in an interview. And I could just imagine how many girls wish how many girls wish they could have been on a song with Nicki Minaj. And I mean, I'm not saying it in a cocky way, but like, yikes. I'm not saying that in a cocky way. I'm saying it like, the first thing out of your mouth when someone asks you about a Nicki Minaj feature is, she changed her version of it. Excuse me? It's because of the Nicki hate parade that she felt the comfortability to address me in that manner.
Nicki Minaj, rap's reigning queen. CardiB. Shit, they might even give her rap princess. Who knows? But the plot thickens. Anything is possible at this point. Welcome to the current, y'all.
Who makes the wave? The current. Who makes the wave? The current. Who makes the wave? The current. Hey, the current. Who makes the wave? The current. Who makes the wave? The current. Who makes the wave? The current. Hey, the current.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the current. I'm your host for tonight, Miss Desire Carter. I haven't used Miss Desire Carter in so long. But we're going to get right into this, y'all. This is episode 14. Talk about episode 14. Thank you so much for listening to me. Like, y'all don't understand how humbling it is and how blessed I feel to have the following that I do for the current. Thank you so much. So, y'all know how we like to get right into this. Let's talk about that currency. So, we're going to talk about for the love of money. Okay, greed makes the world go around, right? Well, sort of. In order for a capitalist society to function, money and purchases are certainly necessary. But greed suggests selfishness or desire for like crazy amounts of money. And you know how this goes, y'all. You know, we all need money to survive, and having extra money so you don't have to worry about things are certainly, just it's like something, it's definitely a goal that we want to understand. It's an understandable goal. So at what point do ambition and hope for having more money become greedy? The answer depends on who asks, because you have some people who are like, oh no, I'm about that money, honey. I'm getting that money, and you have other people like, hey, I'm just comfortable. I'm living who I am. Very modest people. So, like I said before, the answer depends on who you ask, but there are certainly clear signs you are greedy with money. If you turn a blind eye to someone who needs your help, then you might be greedy with money. Working tirelessly to earn more money, even if you don't need it, is another sign. And so is prioritizing money above all else. Here are a few examples that I wrote down to just let y'all know that you might be a little bit greedy for money. And, I don't know. So here's number one. You ignore people you can afford to help. So there was a poll that found that 85% of Americans donated to charity. Giving to charity is certainly a noble thing to do. Yes, it is. It's noble. It's very, very noble. And if you can afford to do it, but you refuse, then that is a good sign that you are greedy with money. The great thing about charities is that there are so many kinds. You can find one that aligns with your interests and your beliefs. Remember that. The issue of whether to financially help a family member is tricky. You don't want to create a mooch or reinforce a bad habit. However, if you have a family member who certainly needs your help, and they are usually a responsible person who you just happen to fall on facing hard times, then saying no when you can afford to do it could be greedy. So it's like, okay, auntie or uncle such and such said, hey, Desire, can I borrow $45 or $50? No, I ain't got it. You greedy. Okay, you need to keep trying to make more money. That's something else. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of ambition. Having money can make a great thing. However, If you keep working harder and spending more time on your work, you're doing it simply to make more money than you actually need or could ever need, then that's a good sign that you're greedy with money. Financially stable is being financially stable is a fantastic thing, but wanting more money just to have it is it necessary? If you know that you are financially set and that your financial future is stable, you don't need to quit working. However, if you're doing extra work or plugging away just to get further ahead, you might want to stop and think about what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with being rich, but at some point, more money, more problems. That is just greedy. The third thing, the rest of your life is falling apart. If you're regularly hearing complaints from your family members or friends, you work too much and that you don't need to, that you work too much and you don't need the you just for financial reasons, or if you are actually facing more direct questions like, why do we need more money? Then you might be getting greedy with your money. Once your family members and friends start noticing that you put money above them, your relationship can suffer. Okay? Understand that. Focusing too much on money can also add stress to your life. Having too little money can certainly be stressful, but so can worrying too much about money or putting too much pressure on yourself to make money. A study released in 2015 by the American Psychological Association found that money was the top significant source of stress, and also found that parents and younger generations and people living in lower income housing indicate greater stress when it comes to money. And my fourth and final reason about being greedy is you're too stingy to lose with money. Frugality isn't a bad thing, but being careful with your money isn't smart. However, if you refuse to use money for fun or important things necessary, expended it to your family members are afraid to, people are afraid to ask you for money, then you're being greedy with your money. For example, if your son says he needs new shoes because his shoes have a giant hole in them and you tell him to suck it up, but you can afford to buy him new shoes, then that's pretty stingy and it's kind of greedy and you're a terrible parent, Doug, you're a terrible parent. You're just horrible at being a parent. Okay. On the other hand, envying and having, just having money, people trying to keep up or spending too much money without keeping track or thinking too much about the consequences is also being greedy. If you need more and more money because you can't stop spending or spending more than you can afford, just go keep up with your friends or mentors. That's a bad sign too, that you have a greed problem. It's probably not even about the money at that point. Obviously, this isn't an extensive list, but also just because you fall into one of these categories doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are truly greedy, but perhaps do many wonderful things with money you can make, and you're changing the world in some type of way. However, you truly wonder if you're greedy and it falls into too many of these categories, then you might have some answers. Whether or not this is a problem, it really depends on what you're personally thinking about is greed. Okay, all right, so that was current entertainment. Let's talk CardiB. So, I don't know if this is the CardiB show or not, but congratulations, Cardi. Congratulations to CardiB, y'all. She put her album out, and then on top of that, honey, she announced her pregnancy that we already knew. The Current was already up on that. If you go to the Current _1 on Instagram, you will see that we was already reporting this tea way before sis even thought she was going to announce it. Okay? But you know what? I like CardiB. She's cool. She's cool. She's herself. I like the fact that the industry is allowing her to be herself. So I did listen to Invasion of Privacy. I listened to it on Tidal because I am on Tidal. And because they make the wave, we make the wave over here at The Current. Who makes the wave? The Current. Okay? So I listened to Tidal. So I listened to it on Tidal. I listened to it in its entirety. And Cardi did something that they haven't did in a long time with the old school rap and the old school album.